James 1:27, pure and undefiled religion before God our Father is this, ministry to the widow and the orphan in their distress. It's the most common verse used in every foster care and adoption ministry across the nation around the world. And it's a good one, because pure and undefiled religion before God our Father does look like that. But what we miss is that it's the very last verse in James chapter 1. So to really get an idea of what this journey is supposed to look like for our own personal growth and development, we have to rewind and go back to James 1:2, where it says, "Count it all a joy when you suffer trials of many kind, because in the testing of your faith, it produces endurance." So we start there. We're going to have trials. And then it moves on to say, but ask God for wisdom, because he gives it to you gladly. So we're going to need a lot of wisdom. That's why you're sitting in this training. We need to ask God for wisdom, and we need to seek wisdom out in the community of Buckner and those foster and adoptive families around you. And then it goes on to say, don't waver. Don't be like the sea, tossed to and fro. Should we do it? Should we not? If God's called you to do something, do it. Trust him and don't waver. And then it moves on to talk about the rich and the poor, that trial comes to everyone. It doesn't matter your situation in life. And when you get into those really hard moments in this journey where it's really hard and you feel like you're suffering, remind yourself that your suffering is this, or it could be something else. It could be the loss of a job, the loss of a family member, cancer, or another disease. Trial comes to all of us. And then it goes on to say that we aren't to let our own desires lead us into sin. And let me just tell you, sitting where you are today, what the number one desire that takes foster and adoptive families out is normal. That desire for everything to go back to what it was before this hardship, before this behavior, before that call from the teacher. And if we're not careful as believers, we can let that desire for normal and the weariness of the moment take us completely out. So we have to gird ourselves up in the Word. And then it goes on to say to be slow to speak, quick to listen, and slow to anger. It also tells us that we're to use the Word as a mirror into our own lives, that we're to guard our tongue, and that we're to clean our own lives up. And that wasn't in order of 1 through 26, but that's all included in James chapter 1 before we get to verse 1:27. So then we have to ask ourselves, if we're starting with pure and undefiled religion before God our Father is this, are we really ready for everything that's going to entail in our own personal spiritual development?